We're back for another episode of the Geopolitical View. And I'm your host, Quanda Francis. And today we have a special segment and I'm so incredibly happy about this. We have the legendary Paul Anthony joining the show. And I just want to thank you again for just taking time out of your incredibly busy schedule to join the show. How are you today?
I am good. This is the second time that you and I are connecting. I love your energy, and it's wonderful to be here. There's a lot of wonderful things on the horizon. So, it's a good moment. It's a good time.
That's great. And again, I want to thank you for joining the show. And I want to first point out to everyone and tell you congratulations, because I see you were awarded an honorary doctorate degree. So now you're technically Dr. Anthony, right?
Yeah. I got to get used to that one. A lot of people, Dr. Paul Anthony, because 40 years put in the work, it's an incredible honor. Anything that people recognize you for what you do, large or small, you don't take nothing for granted because life is so fleeting. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's a blessing to be honored in such a way,
Yes.
So as people, whether it's through music or just speaking, I've always spoke with a sort of a philosophical tone to it. So unbeknownst to me, to get it in philosophy and humanitarianism makes perfect sense. So, the purpose continues and the journey continues.
That's great. And while we're tightening up, I like to just sort of just jump right in because a lot of people know who you are. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have an incredible career that, as you said, has spans over 40 years. Mm-hmm. You've had worked with some of Bob Dylan, Rihanna, and your backstory in terms of just contributing to over 160 million sales and CDs is it's incredible. But I want you to sort of introduce yourself and to my audience and sort of tell them some things that they may not know about you, in addition to everything that they already do.
Absolutely. Well, we've been blessed to be on the forefront of a lot of musical genres. Prior to that, me and my two brothers, we've been singing since I was 12, Louis 13, B was 8, so we started very, very young. So in my household, that's what you do, so full force, a lot of people know us for the work we've done, creating freestyle dance music with Lisa, and our own music being the first original R&B hip hop band, with our success with UTFO, Roxanne, the mega success we've had with the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and Britney, and first introducing the world to Nicki Minaj, who was signed to us first, and being the only producers on the entire planet to write and produce an entire album of the godfather of soul, James Brown, which is truly a pinnacle to me, and a host of other people that we've worked with, and of course, I could not thank my brothers, the Hutland brothers, for blessing us with the historical parts we've had in House Party. So, the journey continues. There's still more to do. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Wow. That's incredible. Mm-hmm. And since you were 12 or 13, that's wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So we learn something new every day.
Oh, yeah.
But so it was a theme in your household. So that I was going to ask that question. What inspired you to pursue a career in music? And how did you get your start in the industry?
Right. Well, what inspired me was my family, my dad, my Uncle Sita, my Uncle Paul. They was part of one of those doo-wop groups back in the day, so that was the inspiration. And then later on, they found out that I had a voice, so I was singing with them. And then later on, my uncle and my father taught my brothers how to sing, and we formed a group together. So, that was the inspiration. Just, I had an ear. To this day, I still can't read music. I play maybe with one finger in the piano, but I have an ear and I have a gift to write songs, as we all do, And that's one thing about Full Force, we all share everything. It doesn't matter who wrote it or who produced it. They'll always build the brand, Full Force. So that's what inspired me, just the family, and you had no choice. This is what you're going to do, So it was a wonderful thing. And being signed to major labels when we was 15 and 16 that these labels you never heard of, but they were huge back in the day, but when later on, when we started really writing and to the labels right now that's out, that's when success really, really came, so it was interesting. My mother still has all the rejection letters from all the labels that turned us down to this day.
Wow. And what inspired you to bring bodybuilding, fitness, and training into urban and pop music industry? Because that's a big thing. Like you influenced a whole, several generations, right? To change, your perspective in terms of health and fitness. So, but
yeah. Full Force was the first, but mainly me, because that was my thing. Because training in bodybuilding had changed my life. I mean, when I graduated high school, I think I weighed about $150. I wasn't tall, and working out, it changed my life. And I know that there were always some physically fit people in R&B and hip hop, but no one actually put it out there, put it in your face the way Full Force did, the way I did. I made sure I put it in the videos and training and working out and incorporating. And because of that, throughout the years, I've stayed consistent with that. And I'm fortunate enough to inspire literally millions in fitness and bodybuilding, from Michael Jordan to Busta to 50 to M to Dre to a host of others, inspired a lot in terms of training and working out and bodybuilding and staying in shape and putting that into R&B and hip hop. That was my thing, along with being different, because when we came out, we dressed like rockers, with ripped shirts and headbands, and boots and whatnot. So we dressed like rockers. We had a pop pen. We had a R&B sensibility, but being from Brooklyn, we had a hip hop attitude. So no one really knew how to figure us out, So it was, we was definitely ahead of our time.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Definitely were ahead of your time, and now it's catching on, because everyone is incorporating it, right? And this is not like you were the first to do it.
Right.
So it's important that everyone knows that.
Mm-hmm.
And like, what led you to pursue acting?
Oh, man, that was a blessing. Well, early on, my dad always taught us that a singer is an actor. You don't sing the song, you become the song. You live it, and true actors do that all the time. So when I'm in a song, that's why so many hip hop artists was able to migrate into acting, because when you rap, and a lot of it's autobiographical, a lot of it's from real life experiences, or you literally become your lyrics. So that's how I was always taught, So to make the transgression into acting was easy, because I felt we was doing it anyway. Our first movie was me and B-Fine when we did Crush Groove. It was enjoyable, but it was easy. We were just being ourselves. So to go to House Party was just a blessing, because we was given free reign to do everything. We created every line in the movie. We created ourselves, and the Hutton brothers gave us the ability just to flow and change things, and we just became into it, so it was just a natural flow, because a singer is an actor,
Yes. Wow. That's it. And what was your favorite role?
Actually, if I think about it, my favorite role wasn't the most popular, because I was part of a stage play. I co-produced a stage play called Then Sings My Soul, and in that I played the only male in it. And it was a stage play, soon to be taken to Broadway, and that was my favorite role, because I really came into that. I would go to the beginning of the stage, and I would yell, I would come out of character and yell to the audience. I'd tell the guys, no king puts his hand on his queen. And I had no queen puts his hands on her king. And, so I'd get into that, because I love to engage and love to get close. So when you're doing theater, you can really, really get into it, So I think that was my favorite role. But my most popular, of course, was Stab as House Party.
Okay. Great. I have another question for you in terms of like, what is something about the music industry that most people don't know?
Oh, my goodness. Well, boy, I think the main thing is that it's changed so drastically. I mean, when we came out
Okay.
in the mid late '80s, it was the best time for music. Everyone was just flowing. I mean, the money was vibrant. You know, it was
Mhm.
exciting. You know, you can do all kind of genres. You know, so they don't know that it's changed. It got somewhat diluted. You know, because now you can just get a Fruity Loops program and boom, I'm a producer. So next thing you know, it got crowded, and then people was just overspending. So the music industry changed in that regard. And then, unfortunately, the music industry is full of people with hollow promises and empty lies, you know, and a lot of people don't want to lose their job, so they're not going to take a chance. So then people was forced to say, well, you know, we have to be our own corporation. So artists had to change and really become their own business entity, you know, the marketing, the promotion, do it all yourself. Because once you've put the groundwork in it, now it's more likely I'd rather take a chance now because you've done the groundwork. So it's changed a lot and people don't know that. But fortunately, it's getting back to real music and real songs, you know, so that's a blessing.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. And what's a project or collaboration that you're particularly proud of?
Hmm. Oh, let's see. Um, there's a couple of them, you know, one on the personal note, you know, um, Lou wrote a phenomenal song called Thanks for My Child, and it was done by our beloved Cheryl Pepsi Riley. And what it
Mm.
meant to people, how it impacted ladies. I mean, before my musical ship came in, I was a eligibility specialist three. It's pretty much a social work, and I had 160 clients. So, you know, the single mother is a sacred thing, you know. So that song really, I mean, it shot to number one so fast. So the fact that,
I love that
yeah,
song too. Just yeah,
right.
young, but singing that song,
Right.
it's yeah.
Right. And people were shocked to know that men wrote that song, you know? So that one was good for what it meant to women, how it impacted single mothers. It literally saved a lot of lives, that song too, you know? So that hits home for me. But personally, I would say my biggest achievement is working with the Godfather Soul. That was an amazing time. Not just one song, the whole album. It was
Oh,
learned a
wow.
lot, spoke with him, shared private times with the Godfather, Mr. James Brown, and that was an amazing experience, no question.
Oh, wow. I love James Brown as well. When I was younger, I
Sure.
would dance around. My grandparents would say, "Hey, look at her! Watch, she's gonna imitate James Brown," and I'm like, sliding around, and everyone thought it was cute because I was a girl, and
Right.
they're like, "Okay, she really has his moves," like, you know. But that was, I thought I was going to be an entertainer. I would just,
Nice.
look at stuff, yeah, and just yeah. So he was amazing. And like, what was a turning point in your career? Like,
Well, there's couples because most writers, most producers, most artists, you have your own cycle of up and down, up and down. You have a few that
okay,
stay consistent for years, but then
oh yeah,
there's a few turning points. You know, of course, the main turning point is when we did came back to back with UTFO's Roxanne, Roxanne, and then before that can cool down, we're credited with creating freestyle dance music. Because then when we came with Lisa Nicole Jam, which we managed all our acts, wrote all the songs, produced them. So when we came with that one, it was it was done because they've never heard anything like that, you know, and it
uh-huh.
exploded, you know. I mean, we could do no wrong at Columbia. And then the next album, you know, it continued because we decided to take her pop. So we did a song called Head to Toe, Lost in Motion, went straight to number one. That was a turning point there because then the phones would not stop ringing. Everybody wanted to produce them, you know. So that was one turning point. There's several though. There's several.
Okay. And what was a major challenge in your career that you had to overcome?
Um, musically, it's, you know, knowing that the music was changing, and then when you cool down, sometimes people aren't answering your phone no more. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, that happens a
Mhm.
lot within the black community, within black music. You know, it's like, what have you done for me lately? You know, and with a lot of white executives, it's once a hit, twice a threat. I'll take a listen, you know. So we said, okay, we see where this is going. We'll be back. We're going to do these kids over here. No one's heard of these kids. NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. No one knew who they are. We're gonna go over here and do that success. We'll be back in a minute. So it was next thing you know, that pop invasion took off with Britney, Backstreet, NSYNC, LFO, Black Eyed Peas. That was a huge turning point as well.
Okay. Wow. And I guess, like, what led you to how did you become involved in cancer advocacy? Like, I know you had was it your personal battle? Like, how? Okay.
Yeah. So, when I was diagnosed in 2006 with my first cancer, I was like, wow, it shocked everybody because I've always been in incredible shape, but I was always, before cancer came, I was always a prime advocate of the mind, body, spirit connection. I use it when I'm working out. I use it in the gym. I just use it in life, so the fact that, if you take a moment to digest, I never asked myself why, I was too busy on trying to interpret this. And when I was discovered, it was the third going to the fourth stage of Mantle Cell Lymphoma, which is an incurable non-Hodgkin's. But I always felt that it didn't apply to me because I'm special, I'm different. And I always felt that way, and a true testament that he gives his toughest battles to his toughest warriors. So got treatment for that one. And then my dear Dr. Paul Anthony Hamlin, he said, let me test your two brothers to see, where there's a match. And as it turns out, lose a 10 for 10 match. So we knew we had that. So 4 years later, when it came back, and it came back much more aggressively, got treatment again, had to go 14 days in a row, twice a day, triple dose, high intensity chemotherapy. And it was something else. But I always knew that he was putting me through something. So when it's time to step in my next season, my words of life and death is true. And that was my interpretation. So I would talk to him out loud. Gee, what you doing? What you up to, man? What's going on with you? What you, oh, I see. I get it. Sometimes you have to go through to get through. Okay, let's dance. So that was my mindset. So I always knew I had to do more than just live a successful life, and thanks to our dear sister, Kathy Hughes, by saying, hey, let's put it on Unsung, and it broke records, became the most watched episode in TV One history, along with music people that know we did. So I knew my instruction was, how can you touch, change, and save lives? So that's where it's at right now. I use the music because the music is the gift, and life is love, but the purpose is, how can I keep impacting lives?
That's amazing. And what are your most meaningful moments with regard to your work with the Paul Anthony Foundation and Paul Anthony Cancer Champions Initiative? Can you tell us a bit about both of those?
Yeah. Well, the Paul Anthony Foundation, I'm in the midst of putting together a wonderful, wonderful concert called Champion the Fight, which is basically walking in victory before you step on your own personal battlefield, whatever it is, And now, for the past 10, 15 years, people come up to me or stop me for anything, not just cancer, but any of life's challenges, because of the way I was so cavalier and forward moving with it, So people will always ask my advice, how I'm doing this, how I'm doing that, how do I do this, how do I eat, how do I train? Because, for someone who's been through 3 cancers, the last one being leukemia, and 2 bone marrow transplants, but still look the way I look and feel the way I feel, they want to know, what have you done? What were you doing? So I get that all the time, So now, one of the main things I try to do is tell people, be proactive with life, proactive with your health, be proactive with love. Don't wait, never invest in wouldas or couldas or shouldas. Get checked out. Be forward moving with your health. It's very key. So that's one of the things I try to do, because one of my phrases, proactivation times integration equals eradication. Once you're proactive with life and love, then you're more tuned to eradicate disease and make some things, but you got to get to it. So that's what we're trying to do. We're going to do, and just bring awareness,
That's incredible. And just to go back for a moment, what is it that you do physically? right?
Right.
You said a lot of people ask that question. So just maybe 2 or 3 nuggets.
Yeah. Well, the body doesn't want to change. It doesn't want to change. You have to change. You have to change it. You have to train it, particularly when you get older, if you want to stay the way it is. So I will always do things to change up. I change up. Like when cancer came, I changed everything. I changed the way I ate. I changed the way I sleep. I changed the people you hung around. Because sometimes I tell people the worst cancer is not the 3 that I had, nor is it lung cancer or pancreatic cancer. The worst cancer is cancer of the spirit. And the way you change that is with a steady transfusion of love. So sometimes you have to make change. And, unfortunately, Black people, we don't like to change. We like to say comfort. No. Sometimes you have to change certain things. So I would change my workout routine. I would change the order, the time, how I train, how I hold this, my circular breathing. There's all these things that you can do to make the body acquiesce to what you want it to do. So my advice was, don't get too stagnant with things. Always change up certain things, and don't get lazy. Sometimes we're lazy, man. Listen, tomorrow's not promised. We all lost a lot of people during this COVID. So that should warn people that you want to stay in shape physically, mentally, energetically, and spiritually.
Yes, that's great advice. And and you sort of touched on it, but how has cancer impacted your perspective on life in your work in the music and entertainment industries?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like that, just living every day, enjoying it. And see, I'm always on the move. I'm always like, I gotta go, do this. But sometimes he has a very unique and profound way of slowing you down. He'll tap you on the shoulder so you can hear the word. And then
yes,
yeah, he'll do that. Right? He said, do this. But if you're hard-headed like me, then he's going to say, okay, let me hit you up the head with this sledgehammer so I can get your strict attention. Mm-hmm. So once you're confined to a 12 by 18 room with a PICC line in your arm and a catheter in your chest and your reverse isolation, you can't go nowhere. That's when okay, he's got something for you to hear. That was my interpretation. So that's how it has impacted me in a way that, you want to really enjoy life. You want to leave a mark. You want to do certain things because you just don't know. And unfortunately, life is meant to go on within you and without you. You know what I mean? So at the table of life, I leave nothing on the table. I just enjoy.
And how do you balance your passion for health and wellness with your busy schedule as a musician, actor, and cancer advocate?
Yeah, that's the hard part, because sometimes things get very, very busy. Like this morning, I'm like, okay, I know I got to be on time with Kwanda's interview. All right, let me get to the gym. I was in there early this morning, just doing my cardio and staying in shape. And I'm doing business while there. People know me in my gym. I may be singing, writing a song while I'm doing bench press, whatever the case may be. But I have a state-of-the-art gym right here in my basement. So I'll get it in and then come back and do business also. So like anything, life is balance. Life is balance, So we have to keep striving to find that balance, and it can be done. It can be done. Just balance things out.
Just balance it out. Planning
yes.
is key. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. And how has your upbringing in your family influenced your career and values? I know you sort of mentioned some of that at the beginning.
Yeah.
How has your upbringing and your family influenced your career and values?
Once again, just appreciating things. A lot of credit goes to all our parents, our cousins, their parents, but in particular, I think about my parents. A lot of time, even when they were bumping heads with one another, they never let that affect us. And we were always close. Me, Lou, and B, we were always close when we were kids. So just having that bond, that strength, brought you through a lot of things. Because the music industry is very, very challenging. Throughout our entire career, I've never did any kind of drugs, any kind of smoke, anything, because Dad, he instilled that in us, so that had a profound effect on us as a family, and then we shared that with people. That's why right now, whether it's in hip hop, whether it's in pop, whether it's in sports, whether it's gospel music, we're always greeted with love because we come and go in grace all the time. You know what I mean? So that has a lot to do with how we were shaped and molded early on, so the family definitely plays an important role.
Wow, that's great, because you, like, during that time period, especially in the 80s, it was, my understanding is it was a wild time. So,
yeah, a lot going.
Yeah. So, how do you see the role of music and entertainment in promoting social change and advocacy?
Well, it's key, and it's important. That's why, a lot of our presidents, the Obamas, you'll see a lot of celebrities there. That's why Jay-Z became very close, because, we have that influence, and you want the young to follow you, or you want the other sect that may not be on the politics, but if he's in it, I'm in it. So it plays a part, it plays a part, because sometimes in politics we got a lot of actors too. That's a whole other thing. I'm gonna leave that alone. Keep it a buck. But it plays a role, because whether sports, entertainment, there's influence, and people are going to follow us. People want to know, well, what are you into? What are you doing? So it's always been that way, always.
Great. And so, what sort of legacy do you want to leave behind through your music, health, cancer awareness, and advocacy?
Yeah, everything, we've been considered legends for now 30 years, so everything we do has to be global. Everything is legendary, because what you do impacts people. The fact that start coming from, living in Bed-Stuy, black and white TV, we turned the channel with pliers. That's how hard it was to come from that, come from singing on the street and going to the Apollo when we were young and winning amateur night, to be regarded as legends and success in every genre. That alone is legacy. That alone is leaving it, So, I find great joy knowing that years from now, I find great joy now when I've seen at least 200-300 weddings where people got married and the bride and groom was rocking in my type of height, from a house party, and they weren't even born when we did that. That's how you live forever. And that was always been our goal. How can I live forever? You live forever by what you leave and what you do and who you impact. So that's very, very important to me. And I love the fact that it's still going on. I ain't done. No.
Absolutely. So, by my last question, and not really last question, but is there any any words of wisdom that you would like to leave for the listeners? Anything that they can just, take from you to help them on whatever, journeys or, adversity, anything that they're dealing with at this very moment? Is there anything that you can leave our listeners?
Yeah. Because I talk to a lot of kids when I'm doing speaking engagements and sometimes lectures and engaging with people. And I find that you got to be fearless with life. You got to be fearless with love. Some people watch things happen. Some people make things happen. Don't be afraid to take a chance. What I'm afraid of is not taking a chance. And I'm not afraid of failure. I'm not afraid of rejection. I was always the short guy in the club. Back in the day, you go to the club, the girls on one side, the guys on the other side, and I'd walk in and said, well, why is this? Oh man, I ain't asking her to ask me, is she gonna chump me? I said, but how would she chump me when I'm me? I don't get it. So I'd be the only guy going down the line. Want to dance? You like to dance? Can you dance? Let me have this. You dance? We dance? Because in my mind, somebody going to say yes. And it's okay. I can go with a rejection. I can go with not taking a shot. That's not good. So you want to take a shot, and keep going. That's one advice, Like I said earlier before, don't invest in wouldas or couldas or shouldas. Go for it. do it. It's all out there. The information is out there. Become educated. While I was getting thrown out of every record company, I said, you know what? The best way I can kill time, because there was never a doubt that I was going to make it. I knew we were going to make it. I just didn't know when. So I said, the best way to kill time is get an education. So I got my bachelor's degree in accounting because I knew when we made it, I'd be able to apply that and do year-end statements, go over things with my accountant. You know what I mean? So you can
Yeah, shout out to the accounting industry. Yes.
Absolutely. So it was,
Love the accountant.
yeah.
One accountant to another. Yes.
Okay, there it is, just like that. So you can follow your dream, while getting your definite, I say, so do that, and just pay attention to the signs, because sometimes the universe has a very unique, profound way of sending messages. Pay attention to the signs. They're there, and just act on it, and then just go and navigate to gravitate, navigate to accentuate, navigate to elevate from negative people. Sometimes, negativity can come from the most unassuming places, but you know what you feel and say, oh no, I got to go. I love you, but I got to go over here, and don't be unapologetic about it. That's who I am, so that's one of the things I believe people.
Oh, that's incredible advice. Listen, I'd like to thank you again for joining the show, the legendary Paul Anthony.